The young and the restless spoilers the last few weeks in Genoa City have felt as though the very air is charged with an electric current of speculation. Ever since the name Aristotle Dumas first surfaced in whispered rumors, then in Vanessa Chamberlain's offhand remark at Society Café, and finally in the boardroom memos at Newman Enterprises, fans and residents alike have been gripped by one burning question: who is the man behind the myth? No one has seen his face, yet his influence is already shaking alliances, appending assumptions, and compelling even the most seasoned players, Victor Newman, Audra Charles, Lily Winters, and Billy Abbott, to wonder what happens when this shadowy kingpin finally steps into the light. The rumor mill gathers speed. It began innocently enough, a few mentions in Amanda Sinclair's confidential briefings, hinting that Dumas had old ties to Genoa City's founding families. Then Damien Kane and Holden Novak, both longtime operators within Dumas's empire, admitted they had never actually met him in person. Fans pored over every detail, searching for clues in Damien's carefully scrubbed social media history and Holden's offhand admission that he handled everything from mergers to discreet retirements, yet never spoke to Dumas face to face. Who is he? The question echoed in every corridor, fueling relentless chatter on social media using the hashtag #WhoIsDumas. Candidate number 1, Kane Ashby. The theory that 70% of fans favored Kane Ashby, Lily's ex-husband, was rooted in a tantalizing coincidence: several late-night phone calls between Amanda and an unidentified Mr. D had been traced to the same area codes Kane once used while working in Australia. Those who championed this theory pointed to Kane's recent return to town under somewhat mysterious circumstances, his sudden financial windfall, and a few cryptic conversations with Lily in which he spoke of powerful friends who could turn Genoa City inside out. Could he have reinvented himself as Dumas, hiding behind an assumed name to launch a clandestine empire from the shadows? Yet this theory always felt tenuous. Kane, by all accounts, was a straight shooter. Impetuous, passionate, occasionally reckless, but never capable of sustaining the cold, methodical temperament that such an empire would demand. Business insiders noted that Dumas's machinations were far too precise, his strategic patience too long-term to suit someone still smarting from divorce and personal upheaval. Kane might have the heart and the charisma, but not the shadowy discipline required to remain unseen for so long. Candidate number 2. Ray Rosales. Then there was Ray Rosales, former Genoa City police chief, whose very disappearance 2 years ago spawned one of the most sensational cold case investigations the city had ever seen. Ray had been at the pinnacle of his career, admired for integrity, lauded for fearless pursuit of justice, before vanishing without a trace on the eve of a critical murder trial. The official narrative held that he had been targeted by organized crime, but no body was ever found. Some speculated that Ray had faked his own death to escape mortal danger, then re-emerged under the guise of Aristotle Dumas to reshape his own narrative and dispense justice on a global scale. After all, who better to run a covert network than a man who knew how to vanish without a trace? Ray's skill set certainly aligned with Dumas's reported attributes: meticulous attention to detail, a vast network of contacts, and the capacity to coordinate operations across international borders. A former student of criminology at McGill, Ray had mastered the art of reading people, anticipating moves 2 or 3 steps ahead, skills perfectly suited to the boardroom chess game that Dumas reportedly played. If Ray was Dumas, his death would have been the ultimate cover, granting him anonymity to build the empire he could never command as a public servant. But skeptics pointed out that Ray's moral compass, and his enduring sense of civic duty, seemed at odds with the rumors of Dumas's willingness to employ ruthless tactics for profit. Candidate number 3, the phantom outsider. Another, more unsettling possibility is that Aristotle Dumas is someone entirely new to Genoa City's tapestry, a foreign magnate harnessing the fallout from global economic turmoil to acquire key assets in real estate, biotech, and media. Under this scenario, the references to Kane or Ray are merely red herrings, strategically planted by Dumas's lieutenants to confuse competitors and mask the real player's identity. This phantom outsider might be a billionaire who made his fortune in emerging markets, someone so accustomed to operating behind the scenes that he learned early on the power of absence as a tool of mystique. By never appearing in public, by communicating only through proxies like Amanda, Damien, and Holden, he creates the illusion of omnipresence without ever having to step into the glare of scrutiny. Fans who subscribe to this theory point to subtle hints, offhand remarks from Jabot insiders about a shadow investor from Singapore, a fleeting reference in Newman Enterprises financials to a Cayman Islands shell corporation, and the occasional sighting, out of the corner of an eye, of a figure in a tailored suit slipping through a back entrance at society. Unlike the Kane or Ray theories, this one carries the advantage of plausibility. It explains why no one in Genoa City has recognized Dumas, he simply isn't from here. But it also raises a chilling question. If someone with such resources and stealth capabilities has set his sights on this community, what is his true endgame? Candidate number 4. A cross-show crossover in soap opera lore, the most jaw-dropping reveals often come when two worlds collide. Could Aristotle Dumas actually be a character borrowed from General Hospital, a familiar face recast in a new context? Jason Morgan, who staged his own death only to return carrying secrets no one could imagine, fits the profile, ruthless when necessary, fiercely loyal to a select few, and equipped with an underground network that straddles the lines between legality and vigilantism. Or consider Sonny Corinthos, whose empire is built on both boardroom deals and underground alliances. What if Sonny decided to operate under a different identity in Genoa City, leveraging his penitence for past sins into a new kind of sanctuary? While such a crossover might strain credulity to some, it would certainly rock the soap opera universe and drive Twitter into meltdown. Why it matters. And why the reveal will shock us all no matter which theory ultimately proves correct. The arrival of Aristotle Dumas in public view will be more than a simple unveiling of a name. It will force every major character to confront hard truths about their loyalties, their blind spots, and the limits of their power. Victor Newman, who prides himself on controlling every nuance of every deal, may find himself outmaneuvered, or even awed, by a man who has mastered the art of disappearing. Lily Winters, whose own history with Kane left her wary of second chances, will have to reconcile her heart's desire for redemption with the reality of a man who may be using her as a pawn. Audra Charles, who has defended Dumas's privacy for so long, will face the ultimate test of her own loyalty. Will she stand by him when the world demands answers? And then there is Billy Abbott, who has always craved a father figure to fill the void left by his mother and stepfather's tumult. The idea that the arrival of Dumas, who could be the very embodiment of the strong, benevolent patriarch Billy yearns for, might finally bring stability to his life has fueled his restless optimism. But when Billy comes face to face with the real Aristotle Dumas, will his dreams be fulfilled, or will they shatter against the rock of reality? Your turn, place your bets. So, dear fans, whose face do you imagine behind the legend of Dumas? Cain Ashby, the man with Lionheart and a penchant for reinvention? Ray Rosales, the vanished police chief turned master strategist? A brand new tycoon from across the oceans, slipping into our lives like a ghost? Or perhaps Jason Morgan or Sonny Corinthos, heroes, or anti-heroes, recast to test our loyalties across two worlds. Speculate away on social media, sift through every line of dialogue for hidden meanings, and brace yourselves. Whatever truth emerges, it will reshape every relationship in Genoa City, and leave us all wondering what other secrets lie hidden just beneath the surface. In the grand tradition of soap opera lore, the reveal of Aristotle Dumas is guaranteed to be a moment none of us will ever forget. Diane paused at the top of the grand curving staircase in the Abbott mansion, her fingertips brushing lightly against the polished mahogany banister. She had planned a quiet evening out. A chance to shed the day's worries and lose herself in the glittering nightlife of Genoa City. But as she descended, the soft murmur of classic jazz drifted up from the living room and the faint scent of champagne tickled her senses. At the base of the stairs, she found Jack waiting, impeccably dressed in a midnight blue tuxedo that brought out the steel in his eyes. Beside him, on the gleaming marble side table, stood two crystal flutes, the bubbles in the pale gold liquid rising like tiny suns. Her heart gave a little leap. "Jack," she said, her voice catching with surprise and delight. He offered her a flute, his brow lifting in a half-smile. "Diane," he said warmly, "I thought we should celebrate." His tone was genuine, free of all the calculated ambition that so often shadowed his decisions. "I want to honor all the hard work you've poured into this home." She sank into the plush armchair nearby, champagne flute trembling in her hand. "I thank you," she whispered, eyes misting. It was only then, as she gazed up at him, that she realized how very tired she felt, tired of the endless shifting alliances, the quiet judgments. But here was Jack, offering something refreshingly simple, acknowledgement and gratitude. He leaned against the mantel, crossing one leg over the other. "You know," he began, voice soft with affection, "I love you more than words can say." His sincerity struck her deeper than any grand declaration. In that moment, she felt seen, not as the schemer who might have manipulated a contract or outmaneuvered a rival, but simply as the woman who had transformed this house into a home. Diane closed her eyes, letting the warmth wash over her. When she opened them, Jack was moving toward her, cup held out in solidarity. "I'm grateful," he continued, "for everything you've done. I love you more than you know." She allowed herself a small laugh, the tears slipping free now. This is wonderful," she said, voice trembling in the gentlest way. Jack shifted, walking to stand beside her. He rested a hand on her shoulder, thumb brushing her collarbone. "What you did with this house," he said, "it's a gift to all of us. It's more than walls and roof. It's a place where our family can gather, where memories will be made. I hope now you feel truly part of the Abbott family." She swallowed hard, the words resonating in her chest. "I do," she whispered. "More than ever." She glanced back up at the staircase, half expecting to see disapproving ghosts of the past, Billy's cold stare when he first saw the new color scheme, his curt refusal to discuss the furniture plans. But instead, she saw only Jack's steady gaze. Her joy quickened when Jack added, almost casually, "By the way, Tracy's coming into town next week. She wants to see the house for herself." Diane stiffened. "Tracy," she repeated. "Oh, well, she'll be enthusiastic, I'm sure. But I worry about Ashley. I don't know how they will react to all the changes." She paused, lowering her eyes. Billy was so put off. "I don't want my work to drive anyone away." Jack chuckled softly, the sound full of affection and confidence. "Diane," he said, drawing her gaze back to his, "you've weathered every storm. Our father may still have his reservations, but he loves you. And as for Billy, he'll apologize soon enough. Give him time." He paused, then added with a warm smile, "But really, you needn't worry. I trust your vision implicitly, and I think Tracy will love what you've done. She might even take some pointers." Diane allowed herself a genuine laugh, the tension draining from her shoulders. "I suppose you're right," she said, sipping her champagne. The bubbles sparkled on her tongue like a promise. Jack drained the rest of his glass, then reached across to refill hers. He watched her thoughtfully. "It's amazing," he said, "to see things through your eyes. You notice the little touches that others miss, the way the light hits the custom draperies at dawn, or how the scent of lavender in the guest wing reminds you of your grandmother's garden. You've breathed life into these walls." Diane's cheeks warmed with pride. "I just wanted to make it ours," she said softly. "Somewhere that felt like home." She set her glass down on the side table, her fingers curling around the crystal stem. "Thank you for believing in me." Jack crossed the room and knelt beside her, taking her hands in his. "I believe in you," he said, voice low with promise. "And I always will." He leaned in and brushed a tender kiss against her temple. The gesture, simple yet profound, solidified everything she had yearned for: acceptance, love, belonging. She embraced him, head resting against his chest, the steady beat of his heart echoing through the quiet room. Above them, the grand windows framed the inky sky, the world outside hushed in the shadow of night. Here, in the glow of candlelight and the warmth of champagne, Diane felt the last vestiges of doubt melt away. She belonged to Jack, to this family, to the life they were building together. As they sat entwined, the future of Abbott Mansion shimmered with possibilities. Tracy's upcoming visit, Billy's eventual apologies, Ashley's gentle acceptance, all would come in time. But for tonight, Diane and Jack had only this perfect moment. A silent celebration of devotion, a testament to the power of acknowledgement, and the quiet joy of knowing that sometimes, all it takes to claim your place in the world is for someone to look at you and say, plainly, you are home. And so, with hearts light and glasses raised, they toasted to what had been accomplished, and to the shared promise of all that was yet to come. At the edge of the sprawling Newman Ranch, where the golden rays of late afternoon sunlight played across the gently rolling fields, Victor and Nikki found themselves alone at last. The new farmhouse, its weathered wood siding freshly sealed, its wraparound porch sweeping across 3 sides, stood as a testament to both Victor's ambition and Nikki's patience. Together, they had chosen every beam, every shingle, every detail. And now, as cicadas drifted on the breeze and the distant hum of ranch machinery fading into twilight, Victor raised a crystal flute filled with pale, effervescent champagne. "To my eternally young, beautiful wife," he pronounced, his voice low with the fondness that had only deepened in the years they had spent side by side. "May this home be as enduring as our love." His eyes glowed with reverence as he tilted the glass to her lips. Nikki's heart fluttered, and she closed her eyes against the sunlight, letting the crisp bubbles sparkle across her tongue. Victor placed a single finger beneath her chin and lifted her gaze to his. "I love you," he said softly, and then he kissed her, a tender brush of lips that carried the weight of decades together and the promise of every tomorrow they had yet to share. She rested her forehead against his for a moment, savoring the warmth of his presence and the unexpected hush of the evening. "I had no idea you were planning anything yet," she murmured, her fingers curling around his hand. "You love surprises." He offered a boyish grin that belied his years. "It's my greatest joy," he admitted. "Especially when the surprise is for you." He gestured across the manicured lawn, where white twinkle lights had been strung between the corral posts, and where ornate lanterns flickered along the gravel driveway. "Tonight is just the beginning. Claire and I have been working out every detail for the big celebration on Saturday." He paused to let her inhale the scent of fresh-cut hay mingling with late-blooming jasmine, "and I promise you, it will be the party of the decade." Her eyes widened with delighted astonishment. "The party of the decade," she echoed. "I can't even imagine." She had helped plan countless corporate galas, but never one staged right here, in the heart of their own ranch. "You and Claire together? You'll outdo yourselves, I know it." Victor chuckled, a rich baritone that blended with the soft cricket song rising from the fields. "Claire brings her youthful flair, and I bring my," he paused, mock considering the choice of words, "my veteran sensibilities. Between the two of us, we'll make sure everyone remembers this night for years to come." Nikki leaned into him, her hand finding the small of his back. "I'm so proud of her," she said, thinking of their granddaughter, bright, determined, already taking on family responsibilities with a poise beyond her years. "She's doing so well at Chancellor. Her scholarship fund is about to double this year because of the youth arts program she launched. I heard from Aunt Victoria this morning that even headmistresses are asking for speaking engagements." "Yes," Victor said, voice proud. "I read that report, too. Claire, she has your steely nerve and my stubbornness, which is a dangerous combination. But it's exactly what this family needs to carry on the legacy." Nikki smiled with a mixture of pride and wistfulness. "You always find a way to praise us all," she teased, running her thumb across his wedding band. "But tonight is about you, my love. This evening, these ranch lights, this glass of champagne, it's your tribute to my strength, my resilience, my stubbornness also." She laughed softly, her eyes shining. Victor turned to face her fully, slipping his other arm around her waist. "You deserve every compliment," he replied earnestly. "You've been through more storms than any of us. And still, you stand here, beautiful, composed, unbreakable. I wanted tonight to reflect who you are." They sipped in companionable silence, the final warmth of daylight giving way to a sky dusted with evening stars. A light breeze stirred the tall grasses at the pasture's edge, and the lanterns seemed to flicker in time with their murmured vows. Then Victor reached into his jacket pocket and produced a small, polished remote, a flourish he had clearly been saving. With a press of his thumb, soft music began to drift from hidden speakers. A tender jazz ballad, the melody one they had danced to on the night of their first engagement party so many years ago. He offered his hand, palm up, an invitation she could not refuse. Nikki allowed him to guide her across the porch, their footsteps light against the weathered planks. "It's all arranged," he whispered in her ear as they glided in a gentle waltz. "Your favorite song live under the oaks," our friends gathered in silent awe. "But for now, just us." Her heart swelled as she placed her hand at the nape of his neck, feeling the flattering warmth of his tuxedo against her fingertips. Victor drew her close enough to hear each breath, to feel the steady beat of his heart. "You always find new ways to make me feel cherished," she said, her voice soft with emotion.